Hello, friends, and welcome to an initial encounter. The game we're looking at here is Hacker Evolution, and as you can see, the story is being described through text, and you better get used to text because this game is a text simulator. No, it's a hacking simulator, and it takes place in the year 2015, so that'd be next year. Right? Brian Spencer's Hacker Evolution. Time Dimensions. Pretty fancy name, if I do say so myself. Let's identify ourselves as Looter. Oh, actually, I have tried this game out, and so there's already a Looter, so let's go with Ayaka Looter. There we go. Now, I will tell you, I made it through the tutorial, and that's about it. So, let's actually go through this tutorial, and it'll give you a feel for how the game plays. As you can see here, you've got the map screen, and we have some servers that we can see. We've got our command console, our system panel. There's a constant timer because the game rewards you for going fast. And there's also a message area down in the bottom corner, which just kind of outlines what you can do here. So we can get some quick help, we can get some level objectives, or a level overview. We can type help at any time, which I'm going to do right now to show you the commands we have access to. Now you will notice I am typing in the command prompt. This is a command prompt game, so if you suck at typing, as I do when I'm recording, which is odd, I do not suck at typing outside of recorded video, but man, when I have to talk and type, fall apart. Alright, so our first objective is to hack into core.hackerevolution.com. In order to hack, you gotta crack. I know, hacking and cracking all day long. core.hackerevolution.com. And as you can see here, right, our hack is going on. Up here you've got how long until being traced. And they're on to us. So because they found us, our trace went up 50%. Which when trace hits 100, it's game over, man. Game over. But this is the tutorial, and so, you know, you can actually game over in the tutorial. As I have done. I gamed over the first time I did the tutorial. But there you go. So we succeeded in the hack. It raised our trace by another 15%. So again, once this hits 100, it's GG, no re. There is no saving as far as I can tell in the middle of quote-unquote missions. So if you lose, you have to start back over from the beginning. Next objective is to get $1,000 into my bank account. Hey! I like this. I'm okay with this. To obtain the money, you can obtain the money from the following. So to obtain the money, we have to find this server. And the game tells you that the server exists. So we can just scan ATM, but we gotta love what they call the server here. .hacker/evolution.com. So we found that one. It's now on our map. We can mouse over it. You can see that server actually has some money in it. $6,500. Now, I have no idea. Now, mind you, I'm not a hacker. I am, however, A+, Net+, Server+, and Security+ certified. Or rather, I guess I should say I was. Those certifications have expired. Before I left for Taiwan my first time, I had those certs. And I can tell you this is nothing like what we do. I guess the command prompt is, you know, it's similar, but the commands you run, no. There's no atm.yourbankname.com or whatever. A smart person would not put their ATM on the public internet like that anyway. So now we're going to decrypt it, and you can see we've got the trace timer. We got our decryption thing, and I think this one. Are we gonna be okay? We got in just before we lost, because that would have been an extra 50% trace, and we would have gotten owned. But you can see our trace is getting kind of high. Trace is getting kind of high. So this is how I lost the first time I played the tutorial here. The tutorial here. I connected to it, right? HackerEvolution.com. So now we're connected to the server. But there's a config file on the server. We're not going to touch that because we're in the tutorial, and so it doesn't want us to do anything with those. It says transfer 1,000. I decided that I'd rather transfer all 6,000 over to my bank account, and that was a mistake because that got me busted. So let's do exactly as the tutorial says. Let's go and transfer 1,000 big ones. The more money you transfer, the longer it takes, the more likely you are to get caught because you're racing your transfer speed versus the trace speed. Now we can download this configuration file. So let's go ahead and grab that. Download connect.config. Wait, and this configuration file is like 500 megabytes, which is pretty ridiculous for a configuration file. It's like half a gig. And you'll notice we only have 1 gig of, they call it RAM in this game. This is actually your hard drive space. So you can't have more than 1,000 megabytes of files on your system. Again, for being a hacker game, you think they would have gone through and kind of checked some of that stuff. Not to mention that it's supposed to be 2015 and we have a 1 gigahertz CPU, no firewall, and a 1 megabit modem. Okay. Sure, we'll go with that. Let's connect, as the little message window here is telling you, let's connect to core.hacker/evolution.com. And let's download this exploit. Well, actually, let's go ahead and check the exploit first. So let's ls. We can see there's an exploit sitting in here. There's an auto-exec, a heftpt.exploit, because you got to name all your files .exploit if they're going to be exploits. So let's go ahead and download this exploit, heftpd.exploit. I'm downloading. We got that file. Now we can use it, but watch what happens if we try to use it here. Heftpt. Again, can't type when you're talking at the same time, which is just, brain is failing me. Hacker evolution.com. It says you can't do it, you have to disconnect to the server. Now, I spent like 2 minutes trying to figure out how to disconnect. I was like, disconnect. Can I click around on this map up here? Does that do anything? You have to log out. So let's go and log out, and then we can go up, and run that command. Now, because it's an exploit, we just run it. Like, we don't have to sit there and wait for it to do stuff. It just happens, which is great. Exploits are amazing. Feel free to Google for all the best exploits. Your next goal is to hack into the sec, which is supposed to be, I believe, secure.hackerevolution.com server. If you're going to simply use the crack command, you'll get traced and lose. To increase your trace time, you must use a bounced link. Now, this is fundamental, and this is where I think the game's real strategy comes in. These servers that you've hacked, successfully, completely hacked, you can bounce off of them. So you can take your connection, you can tunnel through them. Sort of like VPNing or like proxying your connection through these servers. And by the way, I apologize for any of you who actually know the correct terminology, and I'm just kind of throwing out buzzwords here. But you sort of like, you private network your way into this one, and then use this one to connect to this one, then this one to connect to that one. And effectively, the farther your connection has to travel, now this is where it gets a little weird. It's not logically how far your connection travels, it's physically. So if my line goes from my local server to here, to here, to here, to here, that's pretty good. If I go from here to here, to here, to here, to here, I don't know, you can sit down and you can measure out the distance, and whichever one gets you the most range, the most distance, gets you the most time. So if I had one that went here, to here, to here, to here, to here, that's like, what, 4 connections or 5? I'm not sure. I went too quick for myself there. That's like 4 connections plus the hack. But you can see it's a straight line. And so that one, it will be the weakest connection. But if you go from here, to here, to here, to here, to here, that's a much longer connection physically, and therefore it'll take them longer to hack you up. So there you go. So let's go ahead and start doing this. Let's connect to this one, this one, this one, and then we're going to attack this server. Basically, with the ATM server, we're going to attack the sec server, but really it's going to be our server up here, and this is just kind of daisy chaining it together. So let's go ahead and do this. Right, now, what am I doing here? I don't even remember. What am I supposed to be doing here? I already ran that exploit. Now I have to crack into this one. So you can see here there's one open port. None of them are hacked. So there's something that's different between hacking and decrypting here. And this game does it in a unique way. You have to have the port hacked before you can begin decrypting if it's encrypted. If it's not encrypted, you just hack it and you own it. If it's encrypted, you hack it, then you decrypt it, then you own it. There's no encryption key on this secure server, which, why would it be the secure server if there's no encryption key? Anyway, let's go ahead and crack sec.hackerevolution.com. So you can see it's actually slowly tricking its way up here. We've got 42 seconds. Here's your character count. I think we're going to be just fine. In fact, I know we're going to be just fine because it's the tutorial. So they made it so that you'll be just fine. So 7 characters left. 6 characters left. And this is not, by the way, how you crack passwords. You don't crack them 1 character at a time. We'll go with it, though. It's a game. It's a game. You might also notice the dynamic difficulty factor of 1. The game can actually get harder as you get good. Basically, if you go real fast, the game will increase the difficulty for you. Kind of keep the challenge up, which is interesting and nice. You see our trace is now at 94%. It's flashing right up here. We're in trouble of being caught. If this hits 100, as I mentioned before, you're screwed. So on this server, we have a connection.config. Oh, actually, I'm not even connected to the right server, am I? No, this is my computer. You can see it's my computer because I'm at localhost. Let's go ahead and connect to the sec.hackerevolution.com. There's nothing on here. Now, this is the game here is telling me my next subject is to hack into user.hackerevolution. So let's go ahead and find that because you can see it's not on our map. So we can log out of this one. We can scan for user.hackerevolution.com. And there it is. It's up in what's this, like is that Greenland or is that Iceland? Greenland, Iceland. It's no, other way around. Iceland, Greenland. Yeah, so we're way up here in Iceland. Oh my goodness, if I have that backwards, I'm going to feel like such a dumbass. Geography was never my strong suit. Right, so we found it. It says here, find the password of the host. Right, so we could like crack this thing and hack it up, but you can see we're at 95% trace. We're never going to be able to succeed in a hack and not get caught. But instead, there's a password file on core. So why don't we go ahead and just turn off all of these bounces here, because we don't have to bounce around. And also, you can't connect to a server you're bouncing through. So now let's connect to core.hackerevolution.com. Oh, you can see there's a password file. So let's go ahead and download password. We're grabbing that file. It's a small file, so our 1 megabit per second modem can just pick that shit up. And now it actually tells you the password is this, but how are you supposed to know that? The game doesn't actually tell you how to discover this on your own, which is a mistake, I think, in the tutorial, because it took me a while to figure it out. You can actually log out. We have that file on our computer. You can use the cat command to read it. And there it goes. Tells you the password file for user.hackerevolution.com. It's past 9:45. So let's go ahead and do it. Log in to user.hackerevolution.com and then your password. There you go. Success. Password disabled. Right, your next objective is to reduce your trace level below 50%. You have to use the kill trace command. You'll need $500 per 10%. Right, and then tip, bounce around before you just do it. So let's go ahead and kill trace. Kill trace. So now we're backed down. We've lost all my money, but we're down below the super critical threshold. And let's bounce around. Bounce up, and get down. Actually, let's go over here. Then over here. Then over here. And now let's connect to atm.hackerevolution.com. Let's go ahead and transfer. How much money is in there? 5,500. Let's go ahead and transfer. You want to take it all? That might be a little greedy. I'm going to take it all. Let's take it all. And I think we're going to make it. I think we're not going to get caught because I'm looking at the transfer ETA, or the transfer percentage versus the trace ETA. I think we're going to be okay. It looks like we're going to get it. Which is good news, bears. Good news, bears. So there you go. That's the tutorial. Now, you probably already know if this is the kind of game you'd be interested in. There's a lot of typing. There's a lot of kind of looking around and deciding, oh, shoot, maybe I'm not going to get this. 31 seconds, 50%. Yeah, we're fine. We'll have it. We'll get it. You can always type abort to stop it if you're about to get caught. I have to be brave. And when I did the tutorial last time, I did it in chunks. I took like 1,000, then used the command kill trace, and then took another 1,000. Oh, close. And we got this. You know, maybe that whole thing about having to bounce farther geographically was BS. I'm not sure. Because that was pretty close. I thought I was being real coy by choosing the longer paths. Anyway, let's go on. Let's go and run the kill trace command a couple times. If you're ever confused what your mission is, F2 will tell you, right? Which you're going to want to remember that because some of the missions are not very clear about what you're supposed to do. So there you go. Level complete. And I have this much time left to not botch it. If you spend all your money, by the way, you will not get this level complete flashing thing because you will have fallen below $1,000, which is one of your mission objectives. So there you go. I completed it in under 30 minutes. Go me. I can't believe they expect the tutorial to take 30 minutes. Although it did take me 15 minutes, which, you know, half the bonus time there. Current status. Your name is Brian Spencer. You're a former intelligence agent. After a failed mission in 2008, your family was killed in a car accident. The cause remains unclear. 2009, you quit and retired to a private island in the Pacific Ocean, where you spent your time developing and testing security systems. Very interesting. December 22nd, 2015, you receive a request from the Federal Securities Agency to investigate the cause of the New York Exchange crash. The reasons to believe it was the work of a hacker. So this is how you start the game, and the tutorial tells you what to do. This one does not. So hit F2. You can find out that you need to retrieve a connection log from the Exchange server, identify the server used to remotely connect to the Exchange server, upload a copy to the FSA file server, retrieve the user logs, identify the user, download his profile from zenti.com, and upload a copy to the FSA server. So you might not think it, but they actually give you quite a few hints there about things to do. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to the server. You can see one port is hacked. There's a second port that's not. 2 files exist on the server. So let's go ahead and connect to the New York Exchange.com. And the first thing I see here, right, we've got this little like welcome screen, is designed by Zenti Design. So let's go ahead and scan for that server, see if that one actually exists. And sure enough, it does. So now here's the Zenti server. It's already been hacked, so somebody else already got to it first. Interesting. Now let's see if there's anything on this server. In fact, there is. There's an index.new, which is almost a gig. I'm going to download that. It's going to take up all my space. Do I even need to download it? Let's read the file on their server. Oh, look at this. It's almost the same, except for it has this little defaced by. So they kept the defacement page, put back up their old one or whatever, and renamed this one to index.new. So let's actually scan for that server too. And that one does exist. It has not been hacked. It needs to be hacked, and it has an encryption key, but it also has money on it, which is odd, but you know, we'll go with it. It's got money on it. I already have $3,500, which is nice. Kind of gives you like a little cushion, so you can kill trace if you get a little bit too... If it's like it's too hot, you can use some money to lower your trace. Remember, you only game over if it's at 100. 98 doesn't matter. Only game over if it's at 100. We've also got the file server over here, which one port has been hacked. The other port has not been hacked. It's odd they call it hacked. I guess it's open/hacked, so it hasn't really been hacked yet. It's just open by default. Although I like to think that it means that it's been hacked. I like to pretend that I'm... You know, and actually you sort of are in this game following the footsteps of another hacker, kind of following their path. Forgot what they did. So we've got that taken care of. Do I even need to download this? I guess I do not. I could, and in fact you can download everything and store it on the files server over here. So you can like kind of just pull them out, and you're not getting rid of them off their server, you're just making copies. That being said, I don't want to complete this entire mission for you, but I will take another step here. I will take another look. We've got this server. We got this server. Let's connect. Actually, let's log out first. And then let's connect to the zentidesign.com server. And in here, there's actually nothing here, which is odd, but you know, not incredibly odd. There's nothing there. So this is a server we can now bounce off of if we like. It's got 3 bounces, so that we're not in a big, huge rush to bounce around, bounce up, and get down. But it's good to know it's there. And in fact, maybe we will use that bounce for our first hack. So let's log out, click here, and let's actually take a look here, and let's scan that New York Exchange server. And we can see that there's actually a second service running on port 99. The first time through when I did this, I haven't beat this mission, by the way. I ended up dying in it, quote-unquote dying. I ended up losing it right at the end because I didn't have enough money to buy down my trace, and I had to do one final hack. And of course, that's the thing. It's a simulation strategy, because if you end up spending too much money on other things because of mistakes you've made in the past, you're going to run out of money, and then you're not going to be able to basically complete the mission. There are certain things that you can do that I think give you 100% game over. You know, like you have to restart the mission. Like if you spend all your money, and you have to do a hack, and you've used all the bounces, and so you can't not get traced. That kind of stuff happens, and that's why I think it's an interesting game. It's more like a strategy simulator than just a straight-up simulator. I am going to connect to this one. I'm going to actually hack the .hackers server. You can see here that this is a password-protected port running X file manager. I hacked it, and there was no big deal. I hacked it. My trace went up by about 10 or so when I hacked it, but you know, I hacked it. I got control of that, and I found out what was in there. In doing so, I also then went and hacked everything else, and I do know that inside of the .hackers server is where we should be going first. So let's go ahead and crack that .hackers.net server. It's only a 4-character password, which is ridiculous that these .hackers have the shittiest 128-bit encryption key, 4-letter password thing. They're junk. They're stupid. They're bad, and they should feel bad. Let's decrypt it. .hackers.net. So I'm going to decrypt it. I think we might be in trouble here. I never tried to decrypt it first with only 1 bounce. It looks like actually we are going to be just fine. We got it. We're at 61% on our trace, which might be a problem going forward. But I'm not super worried. So let's not bounce anymore. Let's just direct connect .hackers.net. Did I not connect? I did not connect. I have to connect .hackers.net. There we go. Restricted to members only. I'm a member of your guys' clan. Let me go ahead and take that X file manager exploit. X file manager exploit. Did I type it wrong? I did. What did I miss? I missed an I. Grabbing this exploit. Taking the exploit. GG. Now, one of the things I want to do is I want to get their money. But I don't want to get caught taking their money. And so what I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to log out. I'm going to upgrade. And you can see here we've got a bunch of stuff we can upgrade. The one that's going to help us here is the firewall. So I'm going to upgrade my firewall to number 2. I don't even have a firewall. I'm going to upgrade to the 2nd level firewall. There we go. So here I got a new upgrade. It slows down the trace by 3 times, which is great if you're going to be taking a lot of money and stuff from these guys, which I'm going to be doing in a little bit. But first, let's go over here, and I want to run this exploit against the New York Stock Exchange, because we know from our scan that they have that X file manager as one of their running services. Now this part is actually a little bit more realistic, quote unquote, from the what you would do if you're really going to hack these guys IRL. If you have an exploit, of course you'd run the exploit against their server. And that's exactly how it runs in the game too. So we run the exploit, which is X file manager exploit, and then we run it against their server, which is nyexchange.com. There we go. Password's been disabled. And just like that, I can now use their server or their computer, I guess it would be their server, as another additional tunnel. But let's go ahead and connect to the NewYorkExchange.com. And remember, we're going to connect on port 99 or 99 this time instead of their normal port. And this gives us a connection.log, which I want. So let's go ahead and download connection. Did I spell that wrong? Connection.log. Right? And this is a pretty big file. And because our modem is shit, it's going to take a while to get it. We can upgrade our modem at some point, but it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense based on how much money you have on this mission to upgrade that. I think the firewall has got to be the most useful. Second most useful is probably the extra storage space, because even though it calls it RAM in this game, it's actually hard drive space. And unless this whole entire guy runs his server in a RAM drive, which if he does, why does he only have 1 gigabyte of RAM? And also it says it's a gigabyte up here, but down in this area it says it's a gigabit, which is, whatever. Doesn't matter. Little things like that are kind of a bit of a drag because this game is obviously made by like hacker enthusiasts, or at least computer enthusiasts. And it's a damn shame that they kind of cut some corners on those things to make it feel less authentic. Good to see you have the connection log file. How does this guy know I have that file, by the way? When I got this message, the first thing I thought was, these guys are probably the bad guys, and I should hack them. And I did, and there's nothing on that other little port, little open service running. There's nothing there. But it does let you use the files.gov server as an additional bounce, which is nice. So he wants me to upload it to his FTP that he has set up on port 81, which is odd that it's on 81. Scan files.fsa.gov, and you can actually see it is indeed the FTP daemon running on that port. If you get this access port, you hack this port 200. It is password protected, but it's not encrypted, if I remember right. Yeah, it's not encrypted, but it is password protected. That just, like I said, there's nothing on it, so you don't have to worry about that. Anyway, so now let's go ahead and give him the file. He wants the file. You can hit F2 at any time to see where you are. Let's go ahead and cat. Let's go ahead and ls, and then cat the connection.log. Take a look at this file. You can actually see what happened in this connection file. We just got this off the New York Exchange server. Looks like a connection comes in from terminal 65. I don't know. And then there's one from 66. There's 83, which access was denied to 83 twice, and then all of a sudden access was granted to 83. That makes me wonder. Let's go ahead and see if we can find this. And this is how you sort of progress in the game. Let's go ahead and see if these still exist. Terminal 65.zenti.com. Unreachable. What about scan terminal 66.zenti.com? Unreachable. So these two, 65 and 66, they don't exist. Or at least they're not online right now. Terminal 83.zenti.com. And there we go. We've actually found another computer, another server here. This one is encrypted, and it needs to be hacked, and needs to be decrypted. We can bounce through it 3 times. It's got 1 file on it. So whatever that file is, we're probably going to want it. I mean, let's just go ahead and be frank here. We're probably going to want whatever that file is. But in the meantime, let's actually connect to this server over here. So let's connect to files.fsa.gov. I need to connect at port 80. Oh, well, we know that it's running on port 81, right? We already know that from our scan. So you can see there's actually nothing here. But let's go ahead and upload our connection.log to him. So now we're going to go and transfer that connection.log right up to him. So there you go. This is Hackers Evolution. You can tell right now whether or not it's going to be the kind of game you like. To be honest with you, it's the kind of game I would play once. It has a $10 asking price, which I think is a little steep, especially since the game is now about 4 years old. But it does occasionally come up on some bundles. So I would suggest, if this kind of game you're interested in, keep your eyes on those indie bundle websites. Not just humble indie bundles, not just the humblebundles.com. But go right ahead and check out the Reddit, subreddit, subreddit indie bundles? Or is it indie bundle deals or bundle deals? Any of those. And Indie Royale is a great place. The Gaia bundles, they're good. They're all good. In fact, I will put some links down below to some good bundle sites where you might be able to find this game pop up from time to time. The game does have a modding engine in it. It does have support for mods, which is good news bears. So there is a small community around this game. You're not going to find a ton of bundles, or a ton of, my apologies, a ton of mods for it. You can make your own mods. The engine does support it. There's also been some DLCs for the game, which add extra missions, add a different level of complexity to it, modernize it a little so you don't have 1 gigahertz CPU in 2015. Kind of ridiculous. You think this would be like 1 terahertz or something? I mean, come on. We're going to have terahertz next year. I've got my fingers crossed. No, but seriously, it is a fun game, but it is kind of a little bit of a brain scratcher, a little bit of a head scratcher. There are times when you're sitting there going, I have no idea what to do next. And I have no idea how to... I know what I need to do, but I don't know how to get the command prompt to do it. Like if you want to download a user profile, how do you do that? Hells if I know. You got to sit there and kind of toy with it, which is part of the fun and part of the experience. And anybody that's into this sort of like, quote-unquote, hacking scene, you'll know that a lot of the time is spent just learning how to use the tools. Just learning how to get the tool to do the thing that the tool... It's the only thing the tool does. How do I get it to do it? I don't know. What command do I type? What kind of... what sort of tags do I need? Or tax, I guess you call them tax. What kind of tax do I need to get this thing to work? Anyway, so that is my first impression. I would say check it out. And if you can get it on sale, especially for a good price with a couple other games, pick it up. And by the way, by the time you see this video, I am on a plane. Hopefully that plane is not being hacked. And I'll be landing right over here in Taiwan real soon. And so if I don't see you guys for about a week, videos should still be going up, including this one, obviously. But I won't be able to get back to the comments for about a week while I get my computer set up and I get my life situated for my new adventure in Taiwan. And anyway, guys, and by the way, did I say here? It's right here. I'm like, it's right here. No, it's up a little. It's up a little. There's Japan. Anyway, thanks so much for all the support you guys have shown me. 2014, best year ever. Looking forward to your comments. Like I said, there's going to be a delay, but I'm still going to read them. And I love you guys. Would you do me a favor? Would you stay classy and take care, friends? Zaijian.